Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2025 Gaithersburg City Council Virtual Live Forum hosted by East Gaithersburg United. A little general information about tonight's event. The forum will go from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. We do apologize for the late start, had a few technical things to work out, but we are ready to go. The mayoral candidates will go from 7 to probably now about 8:15, because we do want to make sure that we give them an opportunity to answer all of the questions that we've been provided with. The council candidates will start shortly after. We'll have about a 5-minute break to switch over, but we will try our best to end by 9:30. All candidates were invited and accepted the invitation, and I'm happy to say that all of the candidates are here. Questions were developed based on feedback that we received from those who participate in our East Gaithersburg United community. They have not been shared with the candidates in advance. At this time, no questions will be taken from the audience. And last, we have some written response questions that we'll be sharing with the candidates. Once they are finished, we will be sharing those with everyone who registered. In terms of the forum format, for the mayoral candidates, they will each have a 2-minute self-introduction. And then as we go through the rounds asking questions, each candidate will have 3 minutes to respond to the questions. And then each candidate will have a 2-minute closing statement. For the council candidates, they each have a 2-minute self-introduction and then 2.5 minutes per candidate to respond to each question, and then a 2-minute closing remarks. In terms of the question rounds, the candidate order is going to be rotated for each round. The order and the questions will be displayed at the beginning of each round. The candidates have the option of saying whether or not they agree or disagree with something someone else has said, or they can choose to just simply state the position on the topic. We have an on-screen timer to help candidates stay within their allotted time. So we are going to go ahead and get started with the mayoral candidates. So tonight we have Tiffany Kelly and Judd Ashman. So I'd like to start with Tiffany. Would you like to give us your introduction?
Thank you so much for having me this evening. It's always a pleasure to meet people and to have an opportunity to listen as well as to be heard. My name is Tiffany Kelly. I'm sure you all know that now. And I am happy to be a candidate for mayor of Gaithersburg. It has been a very interesting campaign cycle. Each day I'm getting emails from people who are listening to my message and it's resonating with them. I believe that it is time for us to create a government that is not just reactive or responsive, but is proactive. We are facing times like never before, and we have an opportunity here. We have an opportunity to really level out the playing field, and that starts by in investing in our children. We do have some programming here within the city, but we have some significant challenges with our student population. Many of them just tell me that there's nothing for them to do. We do have some programming, as I stated earlier, but we do have an opportunity to really deeply serve a community that has been persistently underserved by the school district. We have seniors who are having a tough time aging in place. There is not as much of a focus as there should be on that group. And I am soon to be a senior, so that is one of my primary focuses. And finally, we have a severe housing crisis. There are some leaders that will tell you we meet that crisis by building more housing. But at the rate that we're building housing, we actually stand to do the exact opposite. We stand to make those prices go up even higher. I believe that we need to expand those options. We need to be sure that our children can grow up here, come back here after they graduate, but we also need to be sure that we have people that can teach in our schools, that can work in our grocery stores, work in our restaurants, and really become the equity hub that we say that we are. While there may be a very diverse set of people here, when it comes to race and ethnicity. The fact of the matter is that our economic equity is fast disappearing. I want to be sure that there is one Gaithersburg that serves everyone well. And right now, that just has not been the model. I am grateful to be here and thank you again for having me and looking forward to the rest of the questions this evening.
Thank you, Tiffany. I'm now going to hear from, I guess you said it was okay to call you Judd.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Judd Ashman. I've been serving you as mayor for the last 11 years and served on the city council for 7 years before that. So 18 years in elected office, and I've been active in local public affairs even longer. So more than 20 years, people have been seeing me at City Hall. And I wake up grateful every single day for the trust that you and your neighbors have invested in me. And I'm here to ask for your support and your vote for a re-election. My wife, Lee, and I are 28-year residents of this city. We raised our kids here. They're now adults. In fact, they've given us two beautiful grandchildren who you'll see with us at the parks and at our big events. Gaithersburg has really been great for us and our kids, and it's such an extra joy for me to have the city as the backdrop and playground for the next generation of our family. Professionally, I'm a longtime small business owner. I have a bachelor's degree in communications and political science and a master's degree in accounting and financial management. I'm also the founder and chair of the Gaithersburg Book Festival and serve on a couple of nonprofit boards. During my time as mayor, Gaithersburg has grown stronger in basically every way that matters. We have the lowest property tax rate of any of Maryland's large cities. We have zero debt. We have top-rated services and facilities. We've continued to foster economic growth. We've brought in major employers like Novavax and BioNTech and IKEA. We've been excellent stewards of the environment. In fact, last week, we were named the sustainable champion of all the cities in Maryland by the group Sustainable Maryland, and we can talk more about that if any of the questions are environmentally focused. I agree with Tiffany. Housing affordability is one of the big challenges facing Gaithersburg and the region at large. And where we disagree is I do believe it's a function of supply and demand, and we've continued to add to our housing stock. And I believe that the only sustainable way to make housing more affordable is to add more high quality housing units and when we do add new projects to mandate as our ordinance does that a certain percentage of it is affordable housing. Under my leadership, we've become, I would argue, the most effective and responsive local government in Maryland. It is a challenging time right now and likely to get worse before it gets better. But we're entering this period in as strong a shape as you can, and we need experience at the helm, which is what I bring. So I'm here again to ask for your continued support and your vote, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. So we now move on to the first round of questions. So the order for this round will be Judd first, followed by Tiffany. But here's the questions. You both have a chance to look at it. If elected, how would your administration revise the city's zoning policies to balance the need for new housing and affordability with the preservation of existing neighborhood character? Please consider both rental and ownership options. All right. All right, give me a second to reset the timer here. Okay. All right, go ahead, Judd.
All right, thank you. So the question was about how we would use our zoning code to balance the priorities of maintaining sort of neighborhood character while adding to our housing stock with affordability in mind. And we've actually just done that. 2 years ago, we embarked on a full rewrite of our zoning code, first time since 1965, I think. It's been a long, long time. And it was a great process. We brought in people from all over the city, and we brought in focus groups, and actually the Maryland Department of Planning gave us a Sustainable Growth Award earlier this year for that very process and for the work product that we came out of it with. Our zoning code is now a lot more understandable, which helps foster new development because it creates the expectations very clearly for people who want to build in this city. One of the things that it does that will enhance affordable options, or it will foster more affordability and more housing stock, is it makes by right accessory dwelling units allowable in any of our single family zones. So accessory dwelling units are sort of those smaller houses or rooms that you could build either connected to your house or disconnected in your yard, and you can bring someone else, an in-law or somebody to live in there. That was not allowed before. It is now allowed. In terms of balancing our these different priorities, the Old Town Historic District has its own rules about what can be built there, and what materials need to be used, and how we preserve the character. And it's the same in a lot of our zones, but we have been pioneers in the MXD, the mixed use zone, which does allow a lot of different multiple housing types. For example, in Kentlands or in Crown, you don't just see single family homes. You see townhouses, you see condos, you do see single families, and you see multifamily apartments. And so most of the neighborhoods that have come into Gaithersburg, the bigger ones that have come into Gaithersburg since the 1990s, have had that mixed use character. And that does allow for, single family with character, multifamily as part of it. It strikes a really good balance. And I think that's a direction that our zoning code will continue to encourage, although fewer single family homes because there's not room for them. And I think will help us create this balance in the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Judd. Okay,
Thank
Tiffany.
you. Thank you very much. I definitely do. I'm really glad to hear that we updated our code after many years. It does seem that we oftentimes kind of stay in this antiquated model of leading, and that is something that absolutely needed to happen. What I have not really seen be updated, and I think Mayor Ashman focused on this, is those accessory dwelling units. I think that is going to be key as we move forward. So we should really look at the code as far as that goes. But before we talk about any of that, I know that we do take an opportunity to speak to people, but I believe that we need to really pivot to um, making sure that not just one type of voice is at the table. And I want to say that the human side of how we do this is often neglected. It does seem that we talk with developers and we talk at people, and we really do need to start to change how that approach is done. It is not just about growth, but being really careful that we avoid gentrification, and and our zoning laws at this time are specific to certain areas, but I know that there is a need to preserve character. I believe that there are models all over the country that we could begin to look at so that Gaithersburg doesn't become any town USA. I have heard some concerns about the environmental impacts of what we're doing, especially with certain projects. And we're growing at such a rapid rate. I know that we've looked at the impact that that could have on infrastructure. And I know that we believe that in some cases that increasing supply is helpful, but the fact of the matter is that new housing is not going to be affordable housing. We need to consider increasing the rate of MPDUs at this time, again, so that the people who work in the city can also afford to live in the city.
Thank you. Round two, we'll start off with Tiffany. And the question for this round is, what is your plan to create truly affordable housing based on the needs of the residents and not on an affordable housing schedule based on AMI that is unrealistic and out of reach for some residents, particularly early career residents?
Let me just say that without affordable housing, the person that you see before you simply would not be here. Because of affordable housing programs, I was able to get my bachelor's degrees and my master's degrees while I was a single parent. Affordable housing is the bedrock of any community. And the fact of the matter is that there is nothing that is truly affordable in Gaithersburg for the average person. If an educator is earning $75,000 a year, affordable for that person would range at about $1,875 per month. When it comes to home purchase, we need to determine how we can partner with our state and our county to increase down payment funding. When it comes to renting, again, we need to not only increase MPDUs, but for older and outdated housing stock, we must consider capping rent increases. I am knocking on doors of people who are living in what would be considered non-luxury housing, sometimes substandard in conditions that are paying nearly as much as I pay for a mortgage and sometimes more. And I can understand if we bring in market new housing and it's at market rate, but older housing that has existed in this city that should be naturally occurring housing simply does not exist at the rate that people believe it to exist. Additionally, when it comes to affordable housing, when I ask, well, what is that number? There is often not a normal number. It's simply not market rate. That's not enough. People are having to leave the area. Our seniors are becoming homeless at an even faster rate than ever. We have to take aggressive action to be sure that people can afford to live in this city, and the current measures simply aren't enough. And it is leading to gentrification and displacement, which will actually bring down the diversity we are so proud of.
Thank you, Tiffany. Go ahead, Judd.
Thank you. So a few things. So I will go back to supply is the key to affordable housing. And one point that Tiffany mentioned that I will push back on is this idea that when you build a new project, that the new units are we're expecting the affordable housing to be among the new units. Now, our ordinance does ensure that 15% of new units are set aside and at a rate that is affordable at the NPDU level and at the workforce level. That is true, and we mandate that. But from a market standpoint, when you put in new units, it creates a downward pressure on older units. It's just like the effect of when you buy a 2025 automobile and the 2026 model comes out, what happens to the value of your 2025 automobile? There's a downward pressure on it. And in a healthy market, that is what happens. Now, Gaithersburg is not large enough to have its own market. So as much we're going to continue to do our part, more than our part. We're growing faster than the county here. We're bringing on supply faster than the county here. But as much as we're going to do that, we're not large enough to solve the problem here alone. It's going to take a larger effort beyond just Gaithersburg. We're going to continue to do what we can. We've had for a long time, I want to say 15, 16 years, we've had a down payment assistance program that I'm proud of, that helps bring people from rental into home ownership. We partner with WorkSource Montgomery to help with workforce development, to help lift people from one income level into a higher. And I think those efforts are always going to be important. But ultimately, it's really a question of supply meeting demand, and we will continue to do more than our part in adding good quality and hopefully affordable units to our market.
Thank you. We are on to our third round. Judd will lead off. The question is this: what is your response to critics who think the city is interested only in tearing down older neighborhoods and rebuilding with high-density housing?
Ready?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for the question. I honestly haven't heard that particular criticism that often. The latest redevelopment projects that we've gotten are like Lake Forest Mall, which doesn't really fit the bill. It wasn't an old neighborhood. It was a shopping mall that had been in decline for a number of years. And then I would want to know more about what specifically the questioner has in mind. We talk about gentrification, but that generally implies that that people are being displaced from a home that they currently have, and and we're redeveloping, and different people are moving in. We've had that situation, I think, one time in the last 18 years that I've been in office, and we actually, in order to help that situation, that's actually when we created the down payment assistance program. We also had our community services office work directly with any family to help relocate them, and we created a rule that if we were approving a development that was going to take down a building where people currently live, the owner of that building has to give them the equivalent of 3 months rent in cash so they can help with relocation assistance. So we have, if the question is related to gentrification and displacement of people, that's my answer. And if it's about specific taking an older neighborhood and redeveloping or allowing a redevelopment, I would need to know more because I'm not really thinking of an example where that's relevant to that question in recent years.
Thank you, Judd. Okay, Tiffany, your turn.
I have heard that people feel that the city is concerned with residents who aren't even here yet. We're building for the new, and we lack investment in what would be considered the old. And it is troubling to hear when people who live in this community, support this community, and love this community feel they're left behind. to be honest with you, I'm not sure if I completely disagree. Yes, we have kept our property taxes low, and that's great if you're a homeowner. But it almost feels like if you're not a homeowner, then you don't have any input and you don't matter because that's all I keep hearing about is keeping taxes low. At the cost of keeping taxes low, have we avoided the real human investment? And I believe that we have. We've kept taxes low at the cost of the people who live here and the growing need here. And I'm not proud of that. Again, it's great to hear that taxes are low if you are a homeowner. But what about the investment we've truly made in people that keeps up with the times that we live in? When we build new and better and brighter, and there's a new project here without true investment in East Winter Garden. Yes, we spend money there, but most of that money is for maintenance. There's not been any deep level infrastructure in what we would consider some of our older communities. And I'm not proud of that. If that's what we're talking about, then I'm on the side of the critics. And we need to determine how to move forward in a way that brings true investment into this community in those areas that are persistently underserved and ignored.
Thank you. So this round is the first of our candidate-specific question rounds. We have already reviewed this with the candidates, but we're going to talk about it again so that all of our viewers understand how this round will work. So this question comes based on something that the candidates may have said, maybe during an interview, or it was in their campaign materials or on their websites. We do want to stress, however, that these are not meant to be got you kinds of questions. And so we have told the candidates if what is being attributed to them is not quite correct or there needs to be clarification, feel free to clarify and then move on to talk about what they would want to talk about on that particular subject. We are interested in just having a forum where we can understand where the candidates are coming from. We have no interest in tripping anybody up. Okay. So this round is going to be led off by Tiffany Kelly and then Judd Ashman. Tiffany, I'm going to flash the question and then start the timer. So for Tiffany, you say people over profits. How will you balance taking care of residents while still having funds to keep the city fiscally sound and fully operational?
The first thing that we need to do is to really make a review of our entire budget, of everything that we spend, and really in the first few months, really determine what is the state of Gaithersburg. I'm not saying that the budget needs to increase or decrease, but what I will say is that we do need to look at projects that we have allocated funds to, particularly non-discretionary spending. And we need to determine if our investments are going in the right places. To be honest with you, I have seen some things that do trouble me. And it does feel like, again, the people who matter are the people who pay property taxes only. We have a substantial population of renters here. We have a substantial population of people who qualify for free and reduced meals in our schools, which is an indicator of economic stability. And we need to invest in those folks. We have an opportunity here that we may not ever get again to really show the rest of the county how you do diversity, how you do equity. That is the joy of working and leading at a level such as a city because you can pivot between policy and human beings. Your constituency, they are your neighbors versus the county, governor's office, etc. I believe that we have an opportunity to really put forth a model of mutual aid, what it looks like to be self-sustaining, particularly as cuts continue to come down from the federal government, especially when it comes to our food supply, affordability, and how we take care of our residents and each other. There are so many things that I've done that we already do that can be scaled up that don't cost a lot of money. It just requires a shift in vision, and it may require a shift in some of our spending. But again, that comes from coming in really ready to examine the true state of our city for everyone, the rates of childhood poverty that we could actually end, and really being robust in approaching community need with community-oriented and designed solutions. We see what happens when we put all of our eggs in one basket and the rug is pulled from under us. We should never be in this position again.
Thank you. Judd, I'm going to show the question first, and then I'll come back to turn on the timer. So the question for you, Judd, Gaithersburg is ranked as one of the most diverse cities in the country. What policies have been or will be implemented to both meet the diversity of needs that come with this designation and maintain diversity?
It's a great question and something that we talk about all the time. We've been among the most diverse cities in America since Wallet Hub started doing that study, I think back in 2014 or 2015. And it's, you know, we consider it a great honor. Obviously, we didn't, it's not like we went to Amazon and said, hey, give us a bunch of this population, that population. It happened very organically. And I think people come here because they feel welcome and because there's opportunity. They sense that there's opportunity here. And also Gaithersburg, given its unique circumstances where we don't have like a city center, we have all with this sort of, as my colleague Neil Harris puts it, an archipelago of different neighborhoods at different price points. There are opportunities to live in Gaithersburg in some places where there wouldn't be in other places in this county. We have a multicultural affairs committee that helps us, that guides us in honoring and celebrating the different cultures that make up this city. We understand that we have a lot of recent immigrants here in the city, and I feel honored. It's a tough time for them. In fact, I spoke with a group of them. I started my day today at the Ed Boer Parent Resource Center at Gaithersburg Elementary School, talking to a couple dozen recent immigrants who are learning English, and it was just an honor for me to. It's one of the joys of this job to be able to tell them, you're welcome here, and we're glad you're here, and we want you to be part of our programs. We want you to get involved in the city. I told them about our Monday night meetings. Some of them got excited about it, but I think just the sort of the glint in their eyes as I was telling them that we're glad to have you here. It's one of those things that makes this job worth doing. We will continue our policies are they try to be very sensitive to immigrants in this city. Our police for a long time have had the policy in interactions with our residents or with anybody that they interact with. We're not asking for documentation or anything like that. And same thing with our Parks and Rec programs. We believe, and I believe, that if you're here, you're here. You're part of our community. You're part of our family, and that's the way I will continue to lead.
Thank you very much. Round 5, we'll be starting off with Judd. Question for round 5, what planning and policies exist or are forthcoming that can balance the desire for walkability, safe cycling, and easy access to public transportation with development projects?
This is a great question. We very intentionally make this a part of. Oh, should I have started yet? Did you?
It's okay.
Sorry,
It's all
I
right.
jumped the gun a little early. I apologize about that. We give a lot of thought to this with any new development project that comes before us for consideration and approval. We are looking at pedestrian pathways, bike paths, shared use paths. We've made a lot of progress on this. Our friends in Rockville have done a tremendous job at creating bike lanes throughout the city, and we've long had this as a priority. But I'll tell you, it's challenging, particularly in the Old Town area, because Old Town, as many of you know, was developed like a century before places like Kentlands and Crown and Rio. Uh, Literally the East Diamond Avenue was built for a horse and buggy. They're very narrow streets. There's limited setbacks. There's not the same green space. So where would you put a bike lane in Old Town? It's something that we've struggled with for a long time. The good news is that we have a bunch of projects that are going to help build out our bike and pedestrian network in the city. I just led a negotiation with Montgomery County that's going to end up freeing up $11.6 million to fund these shovel-ready projects throughout the city that I think will make a big difference in people's lives. And you're going to see the impact of that in the next year or two. It's not like a long wait for these things. But yes, it is our goal, our longtime goal, that somebody in one part of the city should be able to get on a bike and ride to another part of the city and not have to fear for their lives. We're not there yet, but we're working toward it. We have concrete projects, shovel-ready projects that are going to help us get there. And one example of one that's already come to fruition is the shared use path around NIST. So now you can actually walk or jog or bike around NIST perfectly safely, and it'll be an enjoyable experience because it's a nice path. So I think I covered that question. Thank you very much for the question.
You're welcome. Tiffany, tell us your thoughts, Tiffany.
Same question.
Same question.
Okay. One thing I've been studying, I come from Florida, and I lived in a town very similar to Gaithersburg. As a matter of fact, many of the towns that I lived in are similar in this way. They were previously rural, and now they are looking really fancy. So I have actually been studying one of the cities that I lived in, Winter Garden, Florida, that has done a tremendous job in creating a hustling and bustling sort of old town. And so one of the things that was done in Winter Garden was a bike path that goes through the entire city and actually spans really far east to west. So while I don't have that specific information at this time, it is something that I've been studying very deep. I believe that we have the same opportunity here within Gaithersburg. The dynamics are so similar. And when I tell you people are fighting to get to Winter Garden, it is an amazing place. And I believe that Gaithersburg has that same potential and charm. When I was in Old Town recently, and I talked to people, it's kind of my thing. I actually met some folks that were visitors. They were from Canada, and they were sitting out by the train station, and I said to them, if you had to give me any feedback, what would that be? And they said, well, we kind of had to hunt for this place. It's not There's really no place to find out what to do within Gaithersburg. We have the potential to really make this a destination. And I've heard people speaking about it, but it has not evolved like many of the projects that I am seeing that that are on our site. We have the plan, but we just haven't really moved forward. So when it comes to walkability biking, I am studying other city centers that have a very, very similar history. very similar layout, and hopefully we can bring some of those ideas in. I also am looking at partnering with some institutions that have urban planning departments, such as colleges, to help them bring forward a truly equitable model that we may not have thought of as legislators. So I'm looking at many different things that we could do to explore that.
Thank you. On 6 order, so we'll be starting with you, Tiffany. Question 6, how can Gaithersburg partner with MCPS to improve reading and math proficiency and increase graduation rates?
There is so much opportunity for partnership with MCPS. Back when the pandemic started and students were isolated at home, I saw an opportunity to offer student learning for student service hours that are required upon graduation. And by myself, I did learnings with over 3,000 students for free. When I talk about the investments that we can make, these are things that I have done on my own dime and my own time. We have a treasure of elders in this community, retirees, and people who really want to make a difference. We have the ability to invest in our children in a deep way, because the fact of the matter is MCPS is not doing that, as is indicated by some of our graduation scores at our schools. I was just speaking with a gentleman who I'm thinking about partnering with to have a debate club here in our city. And while on the surface that might not seem like a lot, it is really a conduit for research, critical thinking, conflict resolution, mediation. There's so much good that can come out of activities like that that seem like they're recreation. We can really partner with our educators who live in our city, work in our city, and find out what they say that they need. I am not a person who likes to assume. I don't like to guess. I've done extensive work within MCPS. I was on the Anti-Hate Bias Task Force. I'm in meetings with them regularly as it relates to equity, especially with children who are Black, Latino, emerging multilingual learners, and that have disabilities, not only for them, but their parents. Because the fact of the matter is that many times a child's educational experience mirrors what their parent may have gone through. So there's a need to really do a multi-generational approach. The opportunities are endless, and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. We just need time and willing participants and someone like me who has an ongoing and deep relationship within MCPS. I was on the anti-hate task force for the county, and I have a video where we did extensive work with students to hear their experience. That is my strength, is that I have those deep relationships with the populations that we really do need to serve that have those gaps.
Thank you, Tiffany. Judd, same question.
All right. Thank you for the question. I got my start in local public affairs through PTAs and volunteering and a lot of work with the schools. I'm proud of what our city does. In fact, our city, while we don't directly control what happens in school buildings during school hours, we try to do as much as we can around the periphery to support our schools. And we have a committee, actually, a volunteer committee, our educational enrichment committee, that does help take a look at needs among our student populations and recommend funding allocations for different nonprofits that serve students academically and with full wraparound services like family services and identity and JESA and Liberty's Promise and linkages to learning. But the city runs its own. We have our own programs at the elementary level, the middle school level, and the high school level. We have afternoon programs. We have before school programs. We have our youth centers at which students get a chance to both do their homework and get a little coaching there, but also do a lot of fun recreational things that help develop them creatively. We have a full recording studio at our Old Town Youth Center. For high school, we have a student union, a club for high school students that offers after school enrichment programs, and there's fitness and there's sports and there's academic and arts and music and field trips and volunteer opportunities, and they also have at least one sort of speak to the leaders day or a showcase day where they talk to us about the issues that they care about. But with MCPS, we have an enhanced relationship too. We're talking right now with Superintendent Taylor about the new Crown High School when it does open as a high school. Right, maybe delayed a few years in terms of when it may be a holding school at first. We'll see what they decide to do. But when it opens, we are hoping that it become and advocating actively for it to be a STEM-based high school. And council members Hernandez and Wu have done a lot to coordinate with NIST, this big giant scientific federal facility with all kinds of resources, and connect them in a partnership. Our goal is to forge a partnership with them and MCPS so that they can be involved in what happens at the eventual Crown High School as well. And bring about wraparound services as well. I'm running out of time, but there's a lot to say on this topic, and we're doing a lot, and I'm proud of what we're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for staying within time. We are coming to the second and final candidate-specific question. So just a reminder that if what is being attributed to you is not quite correct, please feel free to correct us, because we're just interested in understanding exactly what you think. The order is Judd first, and then Tiffany. So the question for you, Judd, is you've emphasized that Gaithersburg should be a major cultural destination. What do you envision? What is the execution plan and timeline, and how will you address inclusiveness?
Great, thank you. Yes, I am big on Gaithersburg becoming a cultural destination, and I think that um, I don't want this to come across as arrogant. I'm very proud of the work that my committee and our staff and I have been able to do in building the Gaithersburg Book Festival into one of the nation's premier literary events. Literally, we're a top 30 literary event. Um, we are the largest book and author event in Maryland, and I'm really proud of what we do to bring sort of the world to our doorsteps. It is free and open to all. So in terms of inclusiveness, it has always been our intent to have these programs be free and open to all, and the diversity of the programming that we bring in is second to none. In terms of a broader vision for culture in Gaithersburg, I feel like we're on a good track, and there's a lot of potential. We do some great work at the Arts Barn. We do some great work. Our community museum does great work. We use the Latitude Observatory in Observatory Park to great. We make great use of it when there are like eclipses and there are meteor showers, and there are reasons for people to get together and sort of look at the stars. I would love to see a larger theater in Gaithersburg. I'm not sure exactly where it could be. very expensive to build, and the right circumstances would need to come together. But the Arts Barn currently has 99 seats, and if we were to use the Asbury Theater, it's about 300 seats. I think we need something. And the Gaithersburg High School, if you rent that out, I think it's about 1,100 seats in their auditorium. We need something at like the 5,000 seat level. It would be great, and I think there's an opportunity, getting back to MCPS, to partner if the right opportunity came along, because MCPS needs a place to hold their graduation. So I think we can get a lot done in that way. But that is sort of on the horizon. We're looking for opportunities, but we don't have anything concrete yet. But yes, I want to see Gaithersburg continue to grow as a cultural destination. I also have a couple of public art projects that I'm hoping will come to fruition in Old Town, and one at the entryway at 355 and 370. We'll need some cooperation from the state on that one. And I'm running out of time, so I'll leave it there. Thank you.
All right, we're going to swing it over to Tiffany. Okay, let me show you your question. Tiffany, if elected, what would you do in your first 90 days?
You know, I've made it clear that I'm not your standard picture of an elected official. And the fact of the matter is, for someone who has never been in elected office, I am very well known and connected from the state level down with leadership in a couple of different states. The first thing that I must do before I work with anyone is I must build relationship with them. I must know what makes you do what you do, what makes you tick. So the first thing that we're going to do is get to know each other. I don't want to assume anything about anyone. I want to know if you have a dog. I want to know where you grew up. Because without that, the work is transactional and it's not the deep level work that I like to do. It starts with us first being humans and being connected in that way. Secondly, I struggle to believe that we really know the state of our communities, who's being underserved and how. And after knocking on the amount of doors that we have, the emails that I'm getting, the texts, and the conversations, it is clear there are glaring gaps in understanding and in human level investment. I'm glad to hear about all of the projects that are going up. But why is it that for Black History Month and all the other history months, all I'm getting is a proclamation? There's an opportunity for us to really show people that we appreciate them and value them. And that is something that I haven't really seen come to fruition within our city. Again, we have the opportunity to show these folks how it's really done. And in the first 90 days, it's going to be getting a handle on what's really going on within our communities. And as I look over here at my literature, this is my lit. And as you see, it's in both English and Spanish. And I'll never forget, someone reached out to me and said to me, "Your literature is in Spanish." This is the first time I felt like someone sees me as a Latino living in this community. And I was struck dumb to think that just including a language on a piece of literature was all it took. Because it's never happened before for that person in this community. We're going to change that.
Thank you, Tiffany. We are on to the next question, but we're actually going to combine the next question because there's one other question that came in kind of last minute, and we do want to give our viewers the opportunity to hear how you respond. So I'm going to show you both the questions and then just kind of summarize it for you, okay? If there's any questions on what we're asking, please feel free to ask for clarification. So the order of this will be Tiffany first, followed by Judd. Questions 8 and 9 are about congestion. So the first is, what policies can be implemented to ensure future development does not add to congestion and is serviced by public transportation? But then our next question is, what is your strategy to alleviate traffic congestion and ensure new development does not result in increased traffic congestion? They were asked slightly differently, and so we wanted to honor that. However, I think if we combine the questions, it's essentially, what can you do now to alleviate traffic? And then what are you going to do going forward so that as we take on new development, new buildings, annexation, things like that, that we are mindful of the traffic congestion and we're doing what we can in order to address that. And then the sort of second piece, which is still very important, is if we're bringing in all of this future development, we want to make sure that it is serviced by public transportation. So let me stop there first and just make sure our candidates are clear on the question, or the questions, part A, B, and C, maybe. Okay. Judd, are we good? Okay.
Yes.
All right, Tiffany. I appreciate you working with us on that, but we do have another question and I want to make sure that we can get that in. All right. Tiffany, I'm spotlighting you for everyone and the timer starts now.
I am really becoming worried about cars on the road. I have seen more accidents than ever here in Gaithersburg, and I don't have to tell any of you about pedestrians who have been struck and also killed. We actually had someone killed on a bicycle here not too long ago, and it's children a lot of times. So it's getting tough. We really do need to get cars off the road. While I don't have a specific policy in mind yet, as transportation and traffic is not my specialty, I am connected to people that can really help to guide that conversation. And also, again, looking at institutions of higher learning, urban planning students, that can really help to guide this in a future focused way. And I know we've done things back in the past, but moving forward, I think there's an opportunity for us to really come up with some innovative models. One thing I would love to see, especially as it relates to Old Town and the challenges there, is somewhat of an intercity connector, that just consistently makes a loop where people could potentially park off-site and get to places like Old Town and to shopping and really begin to alleviate some of the traffic that we're seeing. And that's something that I definitely would want to get more into, after I'm in office. But there's definitely a need for us to look at our infrastructure. It's already getting crowded. We're seeing more and more accidents, and it's important that we begin to get cars off the road. I had a conversation recently with someone regarding parking minimums, which is another subject that I'm learning more and more about. It would be ideal that we could move to a system that relies less and less on cars. But the fact of the matter is that our public transit, as it currently stands, is not as robust and connected as we'd like it. So I think that one of the most viable strategies is for us to create our own intercity transit that kind of connects people from place to place where there are gaps. And as time goes on, our transportation infrastructure builds up more and more.
Thank you, Tiffany. Judd, same question to you.
Great, thank you. So part of our planning and approval process requires that any new development application that comes before us has to include, excuse me, a traffic study. So we have some understanding of what the impact is going to be on the neighboring intersections. We've seen some improvement in terms. We'll talk about roads first, and let me first give a tip of the hat to my colleague Neil Harris from our city council, who is vice chair of the Regional Transportation Planning Board and sort of our guru for a long time on transportation projects. It was under my leadership that we ended up getting the construction of the Watkins Mill I-270 interchange, which has had some positive impact on traffic flows. We still have an issue at Montgomery Village Avenue and Route 355. There's no question about that. And one of the challenging pieces of dealing with roads and traffic is that the main roads in Gaithersburg, when you look 355, Quince Orchard Road, Great Seneca Highway, Clopper, any road that has a number in it is a state-owned road. We don't have direct control over that. And so we may have some ideas for improvements that will help the flow, but we still need to have the buy-in from the state before anything can be done. And that's the case at that intersection at 355 and Montgomery Village Avenue, where we are leaning heavily on the state for improvements there. We will be doing some improvements with some funding that we got in conjunction with AstraZeneca over on the west side, over at Great Seneca Highway. But the big project, the big sort of achievable transit project that we could see come to fruition is the county's bus rapid transit project on 355, which will eventually link from Clarksburg and Germantown all the way down to Bethesda. The goal of that project is to have dedicated bus lanes that will make it less like you're riding on a bus and more like sort of subway on the street. We have some bottlenecks because of older neighborhoods with narrower setbacks around Old Town between Odin Hall and the bridge. And the city actually put its own money into a study to figure out the best way to get these buses back and forth through that section. I'm running out of time, but I look forward. This is a bigger question. I can talk more about it if anybody's interested, but I look forward to trying to get that to fruition and do our best. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're going to come to our last question, and I'm going to spotlight you both. This question is a 30-second or less question. We are going to start with Judd. So there have been some developments related to Montgomery County Council. Not just the fact that there is an election coming up, but then there also is one of the council members who is leaving. So the question that has been asked by some voters is, first, do either of you plan to run for Montgomery County Council? And the second piece is, if you are tapped to be on Montgomery County Council to fill the position that will be vacant, would you do it? Are you going to try to lobby to get into that position and anything like that? So first, let me ask, is the question clear to both of you?
Yes.
And it should also be clear why I'm saying this is 30 seconds or less. Okay, we'll start with you, Judd.
Yeah, so Sydney Katz, our district council member, is term limited out next year, as has been reported in a lot of places. I've been receiving encouragement from the district, Gaithersburg, Rockville, Washington Grove, to consider running for it next year. It's a big decision, and I do find it flattering to receive the encouragement, but there's a lot of conversation that would need to have to happen before before I'm in a position to make an announcement on that. So where I'm going to land is where I think is the best place for Gaithersburg. And in terms of the second part of the question, would I put my hat in the ring for the appointment? The answer is no.
Thank you. Tiffany?
No, and no. And I believe that for me to be committed to Gaithersburg, I have to have Gaithersburg completely in my vision and in my brain. And so it's not even a consideration. Gaithersburg is it. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are now at the point where we will ask each of you to close with 2 minute closing remarks. We're going to start with Tiffany and then end with Judd.
It has been wonderful to be here with you tonight. This is the last forum in this season as we enter into early voting on Sunday. It has been a blast, and it's also been a bit painful. It's been wonderful to see how many people live here who speak Russian and Spanish and French, but it's been painful at the doors to see those who no longer believe in the political process because of the way they've been left out. It's hard to see what could be a bustling area, Old Town Gaithersburg, that has been left stagnant by lack of investment, by disallowing certain businesses due to some other agendas. It's been hard to hear business owners say they don't feel supported. It's been hard to see that the potential of investing in our local business by using a procurement process that favors them not emerge. In some ways, it feels like Gaithersburg might be stuck in a time that is no longer. It is time for us to transform the city and move forward and make sure that the city fits the brand that it's built. We want a city that's truly diverse, not just by the color of skin or ethnicity, but in age, ability, language, economics, and so many ways that have been neglected for many years. We have an opportunity to be the model for everyone else. We can do it right. And in a time where there is more and more loss, we have the ability to transform the model of service that includes everyone. I look forward to being your next mayor. Have a good night.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Judd?
Thank you. Thanks so much for putting this on and getting such invigorating questions together. It's been fun, and I just want to say I've served the city for the better part of 2 decades. I am extremely proud of the work that we've done together and the progress that we've made in the city, the most diverse city in the United States of America. I love this job. I love serving you. I love raising my family here, and just the everyday joys of Gaithersburg are inspirational to me. I believe I'm the best candidate because of the experience, because of my proven, demonstrated willingness to listen, my understanding of the history and the perspectives and the issues that affect our city in all neighborhoods, my ability to work well with others and lead. I truly believe that we've been the most effective and responsive local government in this state, and I'm proud of it. And it's a long track record of success and of progress, and it's been built on my long-held belief that Gaithersburg has tremendous potential and our best days are ahead of us. I think we have a great team. I am supporting my colleagues, Lisa Henderson and Jim McNulty, for re-election. I appreciate everybody who's run, and I think everyone's done a great job in getting their message out. If you'd like to learn more about me, please visit votejudd.com and send me a note. I'm very reachable, and I look forward to serving you. Thank you.
So this is Jazz Wilson with East Gaithersburg United, and I want to first just thank both of you so much for coming out this evening. I know that you've given our participants a lot to think about. We are just so happy to be engaged with you. This is just a wonderful setting. I just think there's a lot that we come away with, not just hearing about the candidates' answers, but also just getting an opportunity to get to hear from you. And I think it starts to build different relationships. And so whatever is happening, I think people could reach out to the two of you and just kind of ask questions, or, hey, what are you working on? And can you help me get this done? Those are the kind of candidates, and having spoken to both of you, that you come across as. So we wish you both the best with this election.
Thank you.
For those of you who are watching the live, we're going to take a short break before we begin with the council candidates, but do stay tuned.